Hello, class. Good afternoon. Here we are again, continuing with our second lecture on the topic value chain analysis. Uh, as we have discussed last time, um, there were principles, or there is a principle and also a framework that will enable us to understand what do we mean by value chain analysis. First is we have discussed last time about the definition of value, where value is coming from, and also who defines value. And also we learned also from the previous lecture that value can be increased in three ways. No? Can be increased by decreasing the cost of the product, can also be increased by increasing the performance. Okay, and it can also be increased by, in fact, uh, some coordinated action of various players. Okay, so if we attempt to increase the value, that means to say at the end of the downstream end of the value chain, there is going to be some uh, additional profit or additional benefits that a value, as we have said, can either be monetary, it can also be benefit, or it can also be experience. No? Does not necessarily mean that a value means monetary equivalent. Okay. Then a value is also a web of performance, starting from the upstream end, from the input side, up to the final sale or of the market. Connections, interconnections of web of activities from various players. Now, in that value, it it is counterintuitive that the customer, the final buyer, defines what is the value specification of a particular product, and that value specification must now be translated or defined by whoever are the players connecting from the upstream, downstream, that finally produce the final specification of the product that is valuable to the customers. So we have attempted to really define or identify the originator of value chain from Michael Porter in 1985, which describes the activities of organization that performs and links them to the organization's competitive position. Now, the value definition of a company identifies your company with your customer. The value definition of an enterprise or a company also directs the uh, the vision of the company, and of course, the value definition identifies the product that that particular company or enterprise is going to produce. Now, this afternoon, as we continue with our lecture, we will now define what do we mean by value chain. A value chain describes the full range of activities which are required to bring a product or service from conception through different phases of production until it goes down the final delivery of the at the final customers and of course with the very important consideration is disposal of that product after use. Okay, that is one very important consideration, environmental consideration of that how do we whether the product produces garbage or whether the product produces recyclable item, that is of value to a lot of customers. So, but then a chain is a full range required bring a product or service from input from consumer until it to the table of the final customer. That is a value chain. It involves different activities, different enterprise connected together with a with one particular purpose, bringing the product from conception to final sale. Okay. The primary focus of value chain is you have generate benefits or generate profit for the players of the chain, and of course generate the best or the optimal level of satisfaction or uh, service to each customer. Now, effective value chains generate profit. Now, it is just but natural that when you serve the needs of the customer, you will reap the benefits of that particular service, profit, or their additional market. That is the focus of the value chain. Therefore, the value chain is market driven because it depends largely or entirely on the specifications of the customer and how effective are you to serve that particular customer specs. Value chains sequence of product functions that a particular production final consumption sequence. Take note of the word sequence of processes or functions. With function of each player means different enterprise activities. Okay. Value chain means institutional arrangement. So it's not only a interconnected function, but it's an institutional arrangement linking and coordinating producers and all other players in the entire market chains. Okay, it is institutional arrangement. Value chain also is an economic model. Okay, value chain is an economic model because, as you can see, from conception down to the final market, there are all sorts of different players, all sorts of different, um, say, industries, enterprises comprising that particular industry. So when that industry becomes so large enough, very significant in the economy, it also becomes in itself an economic model. Okay, that's why a value chain is not only a conceptual framework, but it is a structure in itself. Okay, just like this one, a value chain from design up to final conception of a product. We have all sorts of activities. And then you have here also the value chain of coconut oil processing from inbound logistics inputs, and then you have distribution, marketing, and down the line you have the final customers. So these different segments actually corresponds to either an independent or coordinated enterprise responsible in bringing a product from its conception level until it becomes a final product, then it becomes available to the final customers. These are examples of a typical value chain web. Okay, a from conception from input supply, you can either have you can either select either fresh, either say for example uh, either fresh or like the other type of like copra, or for example, if it is an oil and it undergoes a conversion, you can either sell that to cooperatives, you can either go direct selling, or you can go to the processor for further processing. So it it now becomes a web of various options of enterprise from input down to the final output. Just like, for example, this one. Okay, at the conception level, from the input side. So we can visualize an interconnection of various activities. You have the output, harvesting of these uh, unripe pineapples, for example. And then after that, you have the what? The processing. You process you crush the pineapple, cut them into chunks, and process. You have the juices in bottles. And then finally, you sell that as this particular final product would appear. So is an interconnection of various firms and activities from product inception to harvesting to processing to packaging and marketing and down the line to the final sale. Okay. Now, there are various players also, either in provider, the trader of inputs, the farmers, first in the processing, and then the marketing, and then customer or the retailer. Now we can also visualize a value chain map, not in terms of like manufactured products, but you can also see or visualize a value chain map for like a service enterprise like tourism. Okay, from advertisement, and then you provide transport, and then accommodation, then down the line you uh, transport them on site to the final destination of the tourism say package. So a value chain, all agri-food products reach the end customers through chains or individual business that are linked together in a chain from input supplier until you reach the final retailer and customers. Okay, so these are examples of value chain web, all agri-foods, from upstream then to downstream. Okay, so a value chain ultimately is alive because of its product is valuable to someone. It's now becomes alive, alive in itself because there are those signals along the chain that pulls the product from the from input supply, and then the producer will buy that, will pull that until the traders also the processors will also process that, and then finally it reaches the final customer. Okay, now you may ask why tobacco or sugarcane farming still produce tobacco, knowing that it is harmful to our health. Can either cause lung cancer or in case of sugar, can cause diabetes. The answer is obvious. There are still people buying the product. It's the market that drives the normal functioning of the value chain. So, uh, buying, for example, uh, product that has some harmful effects, does not necessarily mean that the product is bad, but it all depends on the customer who is making use of it. If you use that for in moderation, if you use that for other, so maybe for example, medical purposes, then that particular product is actually uh, performing well for the benefits of the customers. Farmers can still earn from producing products in whatever form it is, as long as there is a clear value definition from the customer and that the producer are able to produce and transform that particular product into what the customer is specified in their market signals. Okay. Now, a very classical definition of value chain is that by Kaplinsky and Morris. Value chain is described as the full range of activities which are required to bring a product or service from conception to different phases of production. Okay, until it is delivered to the final customers or consumers and the disposal of that particular product after use. Okay? So, in other words, it's not only consuming the product is not the end in itself. How you are going to dispose the the packages or the the unwanted part of the products will also matter in terms of being valuable to the final customer. Or if you can recycle the product, it will also provide benefits to the customer. Then the more it becomes valuable to the customer. Maybe the bottles can be reused for other purpose or the container can be reused. That is a very important part of the customer's valuation. So value chain analysis is a research method because it is a planning tool where you can uh, identify what are some of the frictions, marketing or structural frictions in bringing along the products from conception to final sale or from processing until the market so that we can identify sources of inefficiency and that improving that will of course improve the efficiency and of course improve the profitability. So in other words, value chain analysis is largely based on market demand because market demand is what the customer provides as signal for product distribution. Okay, so that assessing the scope and potential intervention to help a chain will better understand the customer consumers. And by understanding clearly the customer, we will also create more value to the product. And we can also build a stronger partnership with our customer. So, very important to understand the value definition because value chain is the same as demand chain. That the customer demands certain specification that becomes valuable. Translate that from the production side, return that back to the customer as specified in the in the market chain. So ultimately, we can use value chain analysis to answer the question why conduct a value chain analysis, precisely to address customer needs. Okay, why conduct value chain analysis? There are many reasons. Uh, that's the global trend now to open up new markets and develop new ones also. And it's very important because the market has become very, very competitive. And when there is competition, it uh, it can create a make or break the market. Have fully understood customer specification. That's very important from a globalized or globalization perspective. From a sustainable development goals also, it is very important. Value chain analysis is very important to significantly diminish poverty. Others would say value chain analysis is anti-poverty because value chain analysis is uh, good only for the rich, those who can afford to buy or something like that, those who can transact something in the market. That is a mythical understanding. Why? Because in value chain analysis, it's all about market. It's all about understanding the customers better. You cannot provide something in the market that the market cannot afford to buy. And when a poor farmer is able to serve a the needs of a particular market, he will be lifted out of poverty. because he will now develop surplus that is profitable to him and his livelihood. To make markets work for the poor, we have to have a better use of value chain analysis as a framework. Okay, there are various steps in uh, value chain analysis. So it starts with analysis of links. It looks at the boundaries between national and international chain, and it also takes into account international standard. Okay, then we find solution, we so-called critical success factors in value chain analysis. Competitiveness, strengthening the role of disadvantaged groups. In other words, by serving the market, we can also encourage clustering of producers or small producer groups to be able to serve a common market. Because if we know what is the demand of the market, what is the volume, what is the price, now, although you are producing the goods individually, but you can integrate in terms of marketing, and that you would be able to really get the best return for your effort or for your product. We have done that in a lot of various commodities, either in vegetable or other type of product. Individualized production, but the marketing is integrated. It served the markets very well, and everybody profited at the end of the day. So, value chain approach also is a tool for development policy because by enhancing value addition, you bring the product to the next level of what next level of uh, market importance and also next level of market access, expanding the potential for wealth generation. That is why value, value chain as a framework is a tool tool for development policy. Okay, so just like for example this one. Okay, as we go to the export market, we can see here that there is an upgrading of value. Okay, from subsistence economy, and then you become organized groups, and then you become partly integrated and serve a vertically integrated markets for export production or export trading. Now you have various types of value chains. It can be at the local, or it can be at, at an industry, or it can be in a regional clustering covering various value chain groups. Okay, so in other words, a value chain can either be regional or can either be national depending on the clustering of different producer groups. So the thing is, there is efficiency improvement because you are able to serve the market very well by having a clear understanding of what the market needs. Serving that will naturally translate wealth, additional wealth, or benefits, or to be specific, profitable to smallholder farmers. So, with that note, we end this lecture two on value chain analysis with a statement that our ability to do value chain analysis depends largely or entirely on our ability also to understand customer needs. So, thank you and uh, have a good day.